So Simmers, and welcome back to a brand new video. In today's video, we're doing another speed build with the Adventure Awaits pack. This was recorded while I still had the early access, so this build is only done with the base game and the new expansion pack. I was super inspired by this expansion pack to do multiple builds, so I have another speed build coming out on the channel later, or it came out yesterday. I'm not 100% sure in which order I'm uploading these, to be honest, but I am feeling so inspired to build with this pack. With the arrival of custom venues and the new skills that we got and the new lot type for the playground, I just felt like I wanted to build and build and build as soon as I got my hands on this expansion pack. So in today's video, I am making a special build that is inspired by the brand new entomology skill. Before I dive into all the details of the build, I want to give a quick disclaimer that if you see my name floating around the screen, that is part of the early access. I didn't put it there, so I'm sorry if it's bothersome. I hope it's not too much in the way. Also, I got given early access through the EA Creator Network, so I'm not being paid to make this video. However, I did receive the pack early and for free, so I just want to be completely upfront about that. And with all of that out of the way, I want to tell you a little bit about the vision for this build. So as soon as I saw the butterflies and like the new butterfly skill, I immediately had that feeling of wanting to build like big butterfly habitats. I know that in the zoo where I live in the Netherlands, in Rotterdam, we have like one of those super big butterfly habitats, and it is absolutely stunning. I always think it looks amazing. It is one of those cool places that you can walk through and basically the butterflies can just sit on your hands, on your shoulder. I know you're not supposed to touch them, but sometimes the butterflies just sit on you. You can't really do anything about it. But I really love that, and I really love, like, I don't know, being able to experience them so up close and, you know, seeing them eat their food and fluttering around and stuff. So immediately as soon as I saw the butterflies, I knew that I wanted to build something like that in The Sims. Add that in combination with the feature for Sims to practice the entomology skill, but also being able to go on like a camp or a getaway, I thought it would be super fun to sort of build a combination of all of that. Because what is cuter than having your kids or like your Sims go on a getaway or a camp that is specific to a skill that they're building? I think a lot of people have this idea, so I'm definitely not the only one in this, but I know that people were already talking about building like a music camp and a space camp, and basically it's the same idea, but then for the entomology skill. The biggest quote-unquote downside is that the butterflies that I placed down in this build, you can't actually catch them. So it's not like it's a super nice shortcut for your Sims to be able to, you know, get their collection complete, because if they're here, you'll see all of the butterflies, but they won't be able to catch them. You'll still have to travel around the world of Gibby Point to do that. But I figured if your Sims are on a getaway, they can actually leave the getaway venue. Or if you're on a custom venue, you can like still play here without actually using like the getaway feature, and you can still come here to use the butterfly habitats, to use like the incubators for the caterpillars. And just in general, if you're planning a getaway here, obviously camp is not supposed to just be for practicing the skill. So it is also super fun for kids to be able to hang out together. So with this venue, I've already uploaded it on the gallery. There's also a full custom schedule that like in the morning lets them enjoy nature. So that is like catching the butterflies. They can walk around the world. They can practice the entomology skill. But next to that, it is in the afternoon, they have like free time where they get to play on the playground and they get to hang out together, and there is like an activity to sit around the campfire. So the whole idea of this specific venue is very much that it is a camp specifically for kids that are enthusiastic about entomology, but it's not necessarily limited to just practicing the entomology skill. And I hope that that is something that, you know, you guys will enjoy playing with. I will definitely play with this lot at one point and like have my kids go here. I already did a bunch of play testing, and it was so whimsical and so magical to actually see all the butterflies flying around. It really brought like a lot of life to this venue. So the vision for both of these like butterfly habitats was that I kind of wanted it to represent, I don't know, like quote unquote different continents. You know how butterflies obviously don't all live in the same environment. And when you have like these sort of animal habitats, you often have it to, I don't know, like represent their actual living space in the outdoors. So I added this part, which is supposed to be, you can either see it as a desert or a cold biome. I don't really know what you want to see in it, but I wanted to make sure that there was like a part that had like a lot of flowers and that was really, I don't know, like lush. Then we have the part that looks very dry, very like with the big rocks and a bit like a colder biome maybe. And then I wanted to go for one that had like the dirt and sort of the sand. And then in the middle we have the beautiful pond that, if you're playing here, will also have like the animations of the water and stuff, and it's just really pretty and just, I don't know, it gives a really good vibe. The idea is that this is mostly decorative. So for your kids, the actual, I don't know, like place that they can interact with is in the basement. That's where we have sort of the camp set up and all of the tents around this specific part of the lot. And then we have the campfires, and there's like the paper crafting and stuff added everywhere. So these habitats are partially like just decorative, but I think it would be really cool for the ambiance of the camp to still have them and like have your kids walk around in it. And yeah, I hope that's just gonna give off the right vibe. This is where I'm placing all the VFX of the butterflies. To give you a little bit of context of these is, if you're in free build mode like I am right now, you can basically access all of them. Like, you don't have to have caught them before, you can just go in and grab them and then place them everywhere. It looks like it's a one tile thing, but they actually float around, I would say, in like a 4 or 5 tile block around that one tile thing. So some of these butterflies will actually show up outside of the habitat as well, because I placed them relatively close to the wall. If you are playing the game though, like if you're building from live mode, then you have to catch a butterfly before you can use it as a VFX. And like I said, you unfortunately cannot catch the ones that you place down through the VFX, so this is not like a shortcut to complete the collection, but it is a very fun way to add ambiance, and it is also something that, let's say that your sim is really into entomology, you could actually catch all the butterflies and then place them down on the lot purely as decoration. This is where you see me adding the basement, and the reason I did this was initially mostly because I realized I didn't have a space for the bathrooms. Like in the greenhouses or in the habitats itself, obviously there was not really a space for me to add anything with walls because everything is made of glass. And on the outside I had all of the tents, but it didn't make a lot of sense to have every tent have their own toilet. So I figured I sort of needed a common room or like a common space, and this reminded me of when I was back in like Scouts and we would go on Scouts camp. We always would sort of have this clubhouse where we would have the toilets and like a common space to have food and stuff. And then, I don't know, depending on, you know, the type of camp we had, the rest of the camp would be decorated, or the rest of the grounds would be decorated in the theme. But like that clubhouse always sort of looked the same. And in this case, for the sake of the build, and just because I thought it actually looked better, I put the clubhouse in the basement. I don't know if that's the most realistic, and I'm really curious to see how that is going to feel for gameplay, because I do think your Sims are going to spend quite a lot of time sort of like in the basement, in the clubhouse, because that's where the Sims can actually make dinner, that's where the kids can eat, that's where they can shower, that's where they can go and like use the bathroom and stuff. That's also where I added a bunch of the activities. I added like some computers and stuff for the staff to also work on things. I tried to make it like a realistic thing, but obviously, like I said, it is in a basement, so I don't know if that's going to be like the best for playability, but at the same time, I didn't want to ruin like the super pretty aesthetic of the butterfly habitats, because they actually turned out so stunning and I really like the vibe, and I just felt like it would totally ruin the aesthetic of the entire lot if all of a sudden there was a sort of like chunky big clubhouse. But I definitely see myself experimenting with this. I have so many fun ideas for lot types that I can build with this new pack, or with just in general like the custom venue one. I'm actually going to make a whole separate video on ideas for getaways and custom venues, so if you want to see that, feel free to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. I'm also, or I think at this point it should already be out, on my channel I also have a full tutorial on setting up custom venues and getaways and like the difference between the two and stuff. So if you're interested in checking that out, if you want to build something for yourself, feel free to go over there and yeah, ask any questions. I'm more than happy to help. It's definitely one of those features that is super extensive and really cool, but therefore can also be a little bit overwhelming. But for this specific one, like I said, it comes with a pre-assigned schedule where your Sims will basically sleep and then wake up in the morning quite early, I believe at 7 a.m. They will go for breakfast, and then they will actually have some time to work on the entomology skills. So like this, the main activity is to enjoy the outdoors, but that means that any Sim that isn't practicing the entomology skill can also do other things like look for frogs or collect like collectibles and stuff around the world. So it's not limited to just catching butterflies, because I figured then your Sims will probably get bored really fast. And then they have lunch, and then in the afternoon they have like free time. So I end up also adding like a big playground in the back of the lot with the new modular playground so that your kids can hang out there and, you know, play together. Because like I said, again, I feel like a camp is very much supposed to also, I don't know, provide like a space for kids to meet each other. I think this is one of my favorite new things with the pack, both for the playgrounds and the custom venues and the getaways and stuff, is before I always struggled a little bit with if I had kids in my game, if they went to school, they would not like actually meet other kids. And then if you went to public lots like a park or something, maybe there would be 1 or 2 kids, but it was kind of difficult to like form a bigger friend group and genuinely become friends with other kids that you like story-wise actually met in a specific spot. But with this new pack, there are so many opportunities for your kids to meet other kids and actually have like shared memories and sort of like a shared history. Like it can be really one of those things where your kids meet each other on a camp or they meet each other on a playground and, you know, they just click and become friends. And from that moment on, you can basically tell the story and your Sims were introduced. You can go back to that camp, you can go back to that playground. And I just feel like for this pack, like stuff like that, it seems like a small thing, but if you're a big storyteller like I am in the game, it's definitely one of those things that I've just been really missing, and now we finally have it, and I can't wait for my kids to finally like thrive and build actual friendship and connections rather than me trying to cheat it through having a club system with some random kids that they don't actually know, but I'll just pretend that they know them from school or something. Like now you can actually get to know kids. This is also the part where I start working on the little tents. At first, I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I ended up going sort of for this, like a little bit of glamping vibes. So they're like cutesy little tents, and then every single tent is for one single sim. So there will be a single bed, a little chest where they can store their stuff, a mirror, and a small night table. It's like, or nightstand. It's very like similar, so they're very much duplicates, although every single one of them has a slightly different color scheme. Because I envision that if you're going on a camp, specifically like a camp like this, which probably lasts for at least a couple of nights, you're gonna take your own stuff and like kind of personalize your little tent. And then, I don't know, kids can bring maybe their imaginary friend, and kids can bring their maybe like, I don't know, a blarfy or something like that. I can totally see that happening. But I wanted to make sure that it also felt neutral enough that you can basically use it for every single story that you're telling. I also tried to sort of make the lot feel like it had a flow to it by adding all the pathways, because initially I set up all the builds and then I was like, something is missing. This lot is feeling so empty for some reason. And I tried to add in some more things like the playground, or over here I made like a special area where your Sims can use the special butterfly habitats for when they actually catch a butterfly. But I still felt like the flow of the lot was kind of missing. So I added the pathways, and then sort of surrounding the pathways, I added this landscaping that isn't like super overgrown. So most of the landscaping is still just very much grass. But I added like these little patches and little bushes and little stones and stuff to, I don't know, I guess kind of mimic the world that you see around your Sims. Like if you're playing in this world, obviously there's not landscaping everywhere, but I feel like the pathing and the terrain paint and the train tools and, you know, just having like slight patches of plants and rocks and stuff everywhere really makes the world feel alive. And I guess in this world, Gibby Point is absolutely stunning. It's I would honestly say I think maybe the most beautiful world in the game at this point, or at least very high up, like in top 3 or something. And it's one of those worlds where if you don't really properly decorate your lots, it's gonna look like extra empty. I think there are certain lots in this game, maybe in some of the base game worlds, where you can kind of get away with keeping things a bit more empty. But because the rest of this world is so lush and so green and so beautifully landscaped, like if you have a lot that isn't, it's just gonna stand out like a sore thumb. So I really tried to do my best to, one, not like overly landscape and add so many plants and things that it didn't feel correct anymore, that it just felt out of place. But at the same time that it had enough landscaping to blend into the world, because otherwise I felt like it would just look empty. And again, considering that your Sims are most likely going to spend the most time either actually like outdoors, or they're going to spend most of the time in the basement, which is kind of their clubhouse, I wanted to make sure that the outdoors actually felt like cozy and pretty and, you know, a space where your Sims would actually want to spend time. because one of the daily activities is literally enjoy the outdoors, which means that primarily your Sims and the gameplay and stuff at a lot like this is going to revolve around your Sims being outdoors. I'm actually really curious how this is going to play into seasons, because as I was like editing this, I realized that I had to upload it to the gallery. So I loaded this specific build into my actual game, like my actual save file. And it immediately started like pouring with rain. And it was like thundering, and my Sims were scared and they wanted to go inside. And I realized, I was like, I actually, obviously in testing the gameplay with this new pack, I was only playing with the pack and the base game. So I didn't have any seasons. But now with having seasons installed, I was like, I didn't actually realize what this world or this gameplay would look like if it's like winter outside or when it's like raining and pouring. Because in this case, all of my Sims were just running inside. They just were scared of the thunder and they wouldn't come outside, which also created this super cozy camp vibes. And I think it's going to be super fun for storytelling, but I'm just a little bit wary and also kind of curious how the weather and other things is going to influence the gameplay with this pack. I already know that there is one death with the slide, or not technically a death, but like if the slide is out in summer, your Sim can basically catch fire and then die, which is obviously kind of like a funny interaction with seasons. But just in general, I'm very excited to explore all the cross-pack compatibility with this game, or like with this pack as well. So I'm going to be researching that in the coming week or coming days, and I'm going to make sure to make a video about that as well. So if that is something that interests you, make sure to subscribe to the channel. And I feel like builds like this, I'm probably going to make many, many more. I already know that I'll be building a lot on my Twitch streams. So if you want to come hang out over there, I play a bunch of The Sims, but also other cozy games. We play some Minecraft sometimes. I do co-working streams. So it's not just The Sims, but I already know, like I said, I feel incredibly inspired to build with this new pack. So I do expect to do quite some building. And I don't know, I'm just interested to hear all of your build ideas. Like, what are you most excited for in this new pack? What do you want to build when it comes to custom venues and getaways? Like, do you have anything maybe that you want to recreate from TV shows and stuff like that? Or do you want to come up with your own original ideas? I would just in general love your inspiration. And also I might be using this comment section as inspiration for that video that I'm making, where I'm going to go over all the best ideas for custom venues and getaways. So if you want your idea to be included in that video, please make sure to mention it in the comments down below. And I think we're getting close to the end of the speed build, so I just want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. This lot is on the gallery. My username is Rosannatxt there. If you end up buying the Adventure Awaits expansion pack, consider using my EA creator code Rosannatxt. And of course, like I said, comment, like, subscribe. All the engagement on this video greatly helps it getting to more people, hopefully allowing more people to enjoy this specific build. And with all of that being said, thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye, everyone!